Hey guys, my name is Brandon and welcome back to my YouTube channel. If you like what you see in here, you're more than welcome to hit the subscribe button so you stay notified every time I upload a new video. Okay, let's get straight on with today's video. Hey everyone and welcome back to Is That More Brandon. So in today's video I'm going to be doing the 4th episode review of The Apprentice 2024, 2025, the UK version. So as of now, we've lost 3 people from the process, so we have 15 candidates left. And for this project, the candidates had 30 minutes to get ready to go to New Covent Garden Market in central London for their 4th task. Nadia explained that she hasn't put herself forward as project manager yet. Max said that his team need a win, and we found out it was going to be Team Potatoes versus Team Tomatoes, which they had to sell the items in a product, and obviously meet a corporate client and also then sell in that market to as many customers as possible. So first of all, we kind of had team names. So the teams stayed the same from last time. So for Team Tomatoes, I think it was Max who did the flip a coin and he picked potatoes. So obviously the other team got tomatoes. So let's just refer to them as Team Tomatoes and Team Potatoes. So for Team Tomatoes, you had Jordan, Johnny, Frederick and Dean, Amber Rose, Mia, Emma S, so the only Emma left now, and Malika. And for Team Potatoes, you had obviously Max, Kia, Jana and Liam. And then girls, you had Chizola, Anissa and Nadia. So it's getting a lot less people now, so we're gradually, cutting them down one by one. So for Team Tomatoes, it was Mia who decided to be project manager, and for Team Potatoes, it was Nadia. So it was Mia against Nadia. So for Mia's team, so Team Tomatoes, she said that they should be calling themselves Team Ascendancy because they're constantly going forwards, and that became their team name. And for Nadia and her team, Chizola said, who doesn't like potatoes, with Kia saying that they should be called now Team Parallel. They're climbing for the same goals. So it was Team Ascendancy, Tomatoes, and Team Parallel Potatoes. So we'll go back to Mia's team, so the Tomatoes team. So she said she's cooked more tomatoes than you can imagine, because obviously she has a pizza shop. And Jordan said that the easiest thing for them to obviously make with tomatoes is a pizza. Amber said it's quick grab and go food. And Mia also added no large meals, just something easy that they can grab, eat and move on to wherever they're walking to or travelling to. In terms of the cooking team, Mia said that herself, Malika, Emma and Dean would be on the cooking team, with Fred being the sub-team leader. Obviously, pizza and tomatoes has connotations with the Italian heritage, so Fred was with Amber, Johnny and Jordan in terms of creating something, like a brand and, the deals and things like that, and, branding and things. Dean said he was absolutely happy to go to the kitchen. Mia asked her team whether they should have a meat pizza, with Malika saying that obviously it's just in regards to the pricing. And Mia said in terms of being able to save money, instead of using loads of meatballs, just get one meatball and spread it along the entire of the pizza. And she said that would cost them 88p to make one pizza. In terms of Frederick, so he led this pitch with Amber, Johnny and Jordan with Zizi. So Zizi, obviously this popular Italian brand, and he basically spoke about his story of moving to the UK age 13 and that Zizi had actually helped him. So I'm not sure how over dramatic and how believable the story was, but it kind of sounded like, oh my god Zizi, you've done so much for me personally. Like they're a pizza restaurant, they make people happy, they give people food, and they're a reasonable price, so he couldn't really milk it anymore if he needed to. So they basically explained to him that in terms of them having potatoes ready, they would need them to be washed, de-seeded and cut into cubes, which obviously these guys were like, yeah, that's fine, that's easy. And they wanted 120 kilograms delivered at £6.50 per kilogram each. So he basically said, can we do 140 kilograms for £5.25? And they ended up getting a deal for 150 kilograms worth £5.10 each, for a total of 765, as long as they were washed, de-seeded and cubed. And Jordan then jumped in and said, well, what's in terms of the delivery time, when are you kind of needing them by? And they basically said, well, obviously lunchtime, because we kind of use them from lunchtime onwards throughout the day. Back to the kitchen with Mia. So she said, let's go for beef meatballs with mozzarella and red peppers. Frederick said it's important for obviously the cooking team to be organised, with Mia explaining that the day is going to be really tough. Amber said that the de-seeding ones need to be a little bit more thorough, with Mia basically saying we just need to keep chopping. And Jordan basically suggested that they should leave as late as possible, with Fred saying they can't leave too late, otherwise they might not want to use the tomatoes at that point. And then, yeah, I think Jordan basically said, don't twist my words, because he wasn't saying let's leave late. He's saying let's just leave as late as possible to give us as much time as possible to cut and peel and cube as many tomatoes as possible. So yeah, Jordan and Fred had a little bit of a argument there. Mia kind of, along with the clock, was kind of wondering how long has it taken them so far. So for 2 boxes, it took them 2 hours worth. Malika says she might as well work in a corporate shop at this point, and Amber said that if they were to make 4 boxes worth to sell, that's 20 kilograms. Would they then have another hour to be able to do that, or would they have enough as to what they have already? Dean said focus on the pizza. The juice isn't worth the squeeze in terms of getting that extra hour's worth of tomatoes when actually they can just sell what they've already got. Mia said that she and her team were the only pizza providers in the market. So they were putting their prices at £10 per pizza, so obviously 88 pence to make and £10 to sell. That's like over £9 profit, which is incredible. Malika was asked whether the pizzas were vegan, and obviously she had to say no because they had meatballs in it. Emma managed to get £13 an all-in sale. Apparently Malika was intimidating other customers, so she was being a little bit too loud, shouting about the pizzas rather than doing it normally. Jordan explained to Zizi that they weren't able to fill the entire 150 kilograms. They managed to get 20 kilograms worth. I think this is kind of what Amber's point was, that, you know, selling to the corporate client isn't really what's going to make them more money. Actually, what's going to make them the more money is selling in the market. So they were 130 kilograms short, so they ended up only paying £3 a kilo. They managed to get it back up to £3.50 a kilo, so 76.83 as a total. Jordan said they need to now try and sell the rest of their tomatoes around, get some deals in the city, and they seem to have made a dog's dinner of it so far. Again, Mia was charging £10 for a small pizza, but although it sounds like a lot of money, it was working really well. And Amber was kind of in a deal to try and get rid of 355 kilograms of tomatoes, with Mia dropping the price down of the pizzas to £5. And she explained that it was largely down to Frederick if they were in the boardroom because of his shambolic deal with Zizi and the fact that they weren't able to create what they had agreed to without kind of giving them enough notice. So that was kind of a summary for Mia's team. And then for Team Potatoes, it was Nadia that actually took the lead. Chizola, yeah, she initially said who doesn't like potatoes. Nadia said her parents both own a kebab shop and she was born and raised in a kitchen, so she kind of has and knows the idea of, you know, hell in a kitchen and, you know, how to actually cook and bake and make and things like that. Anissa also jumped in and said she was also raised in a kitchen. She thinks something like a potato skin with a loaded potato skin would have been a good option to go for. Nadia kind of disregarded what everyone said and she went, no, bangers and mash, and we're going to add additional serving sides. So I get why the team were probably a little bit annoyed, the fact that she didn't go for a simple meal, but then I also get from her side, if you know what sells and if you know how you can make things sell, then you've got to stick with your own integrity. So yeah, she went for sausage and mash. Max explained that it was quite costly, and Nadia said, well, actually this is where we need to go. We need to go for something like sausages and mash because it's just going to bring people in. So on the cooking team, it was herself, Max, Anissa and Chizola, and then on the corporate client team, it was Keir, Liam and Jana. Jana said he has the biggest Sri Lankan background, so he would probably be a little bit better in the kitchen. But in the end, yeah, Nadia kind of just disregarded that as well, and she ended up putting Kia as the sub-team leader, saying let's go and sell some potatoes. So in the kitchen, Chizola said the vegetable sausages were £1.50 cheaper than the meat ones. Max said that there was evergreen sausages that were £3.50 for 2 sausages. They were the meat ones, and he also explained that they shouldn't add horseradish because it just didn't taste nice, and they should add things like garlic. They worked out that it could be 55.65 kilogram per potato, which is what that corporate team had agreed with their customer. And they needed to make between 75 and 100 kilograms of potatoes. In the end, Jana agreed at £8.50 per kilogram, between the £5 and £6 mark is what they were kind of hoping for. Keir offered £4.50, and the client said on this occasion we'll do £4 for you. So yeah, basically their agreement was they wanted the potatoes to be stripped, cut, and a certain weight and dimension in order for the potatoes to actually be usable. Nadia said that for their horseradish sausages and mash, they were going to use horseradish, some sort of gravy, and upsell cabbage, so in total £4.20 per portion. Keir said that they needed to make 4 kilograms worth, or 100 kilograms worth of potatoes at £4 each, with Liam adding that upselling the potatoes, with Liam saying that upselling the cabbage was just a little bit wild. Anissa said that everything that they don't use is a waste, with Max saying it actually brings up the total to £6.35 per portion. Anissa also added that after they had worked out the numbers, Nadia ended up changing all the numbers at the end, with Karen saying, well, hang on, who did the numbers? I think Nadia said that it was Anissa, and then at the end she just kind of, changed the numbers and revealed that she had basically spent an extra £87.50 when they actually didn't need to. And then Chizola basically said that she wrote the numbers down and it was Nadia who was kind of crossing all the numbers out. So the girls there kind of probably had a bit more of a discussion between the three of them, because it was more Chizola and Anissa, and then at the end Nadia just saying, you know what, screw it, I'm just going to change all the numbers. Kia said that they need to be more accurate with the size of their potatoes, because obviously if they don't get the size and the measurements and the grams worth that this business want, they're not going to buy the potatoes off them. And Nadia just jumped in and said, don't worry about the weight. Kia basically asked Nadia whether she was comfortable giving these potatoes to them, and then little and behold the cabbage started burning, so I think Joanna left the cabbage on, so she was like, guys, the cabbage is burning, we can't be doing that. Max also jumped in and said that for Nadia, moving a box of potatoes and vegetables into one box was a little bit too heavy for somebody, so she basically ended up just moving that entire box herself. Kia said some of the potatoes that were being cut were very small, and Leanne said if they don't buy the potatoes it's because they're too small, and that'll be Nadia's fault because she said don't worry about the size. And Max also added that sausage and mash is definitely not suitable for the market. Kia, Jana and Liam went to the corporate client, with the client saying that the sizing was inconsistent, they haven't met the specification, they wanted a discount and they wanted £2.80 per kilogram. Kia explained whether they could have a round number of £3, which they agreed to, and they ended up getting £230 in total. Kia explained that the corporate client were not happy with the quality of potatoes, and Nadia, obviously on the selling team with her little team, said that they'd sold 8 of the sausage and mash meals so far and that they got it, with Liam saying you haven't got it. Max was also dressed up as a potato, so the fact that he was dressed up, he was obviously hoping to bring in a few more sellings or buyers. Nadia sold one for £10 and said special offer, we're not going to change the price completely, with Anita asking whether actually they could do that as well, because she just changed the price out of her own accord and didn't let the rest of her team know. So Anita said that she's going to blame Nadia if they lose the task. So in the boardroom, let's go back to Team Potatoes again. Mia said that she was passionate for cooking and catering and being in the kitchen. She said in terms of their meatball pizza, it would cost 88 pence per pizza to create, and obviously they were selling them at £8, £9, £10 each. Frederick had the deal of 150 kilograms worth of cut tomatoes and de-seeded tomatoes and cubed tomatoes for £5.10, which Mia basically said, it was very difficult for us to be able to do that. They should have probably agreed to a lesser number of tomatoes and maybe it would have been a bit of a higher price, but at least then it was something they would have actually been able to achieve. Amber said that they were working with incredible accuracy, and Johnny explained that the de-seeding of the tomatoes was more difficult than the cubing of them, so it actually took longer for the first part of the team to do what they needed to do in order to get it to the second part of the team, in order for it to be a reputable tomato basically. Mia said that it was Dean that had a pizza oven, so he was basically in charge of all of the cooking, and with all of the toppings and things like that it would have been £13 with the total. Jordan said that positivity in the kitchen was a bit of a ridiculous thing, with Mia shouting out all these positive quotes and things like that, and that Fred shouted at him for having misheard or misinterpreted something that Jordan had said. So there's a little bit of arguing and disagreement there, but Mia and her idea of upselling a 88 pence pizza was a really, really good idea. Probably the most easiest thing you can do with a tomato. What else can you have? You can have a tomato soup, but I think pizza is the easiest thing to do. And then for Team Potatoes, again the same thing. Again, someone said initially to do the loaded skins. Nadia, from a food background, having her family within the kebab and fish and chip industry, decided to go for bangers and mash or sausage and mash. And Anita said that she is actually the only person running a successful food business, which is why she thought she would have been for project manager. But then Lord Sugar said, well, actually, you can't be project manager every time. This would have been her third task out of 3. So it was good that someone like Nadia actually took the lead. Keir said that they were swaying on potato skins. Chizola said that Anissa had Her and Anissa had both said that they should have gone for the £1 vegetarian sausages, and actually the cost for 100 portions would have been a lot cheaper than the meat sausages they ended up going for. Anissa said that the sausage and the butter was made by her in terms of the figures, and then Nadia changed all the numbers on the sheet. Liam said they needed to make 80 to 100 kilograms worth of potatoes at a particular weight, and Kia said that there were instructions on the cooking process, which obviously Nadia didn't follow. Nadia basically said that everyone was on potatoes, there was cabbage that was burnt. Max explained he was very stressed, and Kia said that they initially had a deal for £4, which they negotiated back to £3 because the client were not happy with their size of their potatoes. In the end, for Team Tomatoes, they spent £183.10. They made £350.93 of sales, giving them a profit of £167.83. For Team Potatoes, they spent £635.90, purely mostly down to Nadia. They made sales of £562.50, which quite respectable, but that then put them at a loss of £73.90. So they almost were able to make back what they spent, but I think because they spent so much on those sausages, that's what put them at a loss. So for Mia and her Winning Tomatoes team, they were having an Italian master cooking class, with Mia basically almost in tears, saying that she packed her bags this morning thinking that, she'd have lost the task. Frederick explained that he was disappointed in his performance as sub-team leader, but there's a lot from him coming forwards. And Mia basically explained that there was a lot of pressure on her and she actually kept her reputation. I actually got a little bit emotional when I was watching that episode, because to see someone cry at a task, okay, it's probably a little bit dramatic, but it just genuinely shows how much someone cares about that task as well. So yeah, it was nice to see her get a bit emotional, because at least Lord Sugar now knows that she genuinely really wants to be the business partner. And like I said, she's one of my strong ones. So let's see how far she gets. In terms of Nadia's potato team, Anissa basically said that the failure lies within the costings. Nadia made poor decisions, and she also wasn't listening to the team from the get-go when they basically said, let's do potato skins, that's a lot better than sausage and mash. Nadia questioned why the price just kept going down, with Kia saying that it didn't provide people with what they wanted, and she didn't provide people with what they needed, and that Nadia was trying to blame the corporate team, with Jana saying that it was mismanagement of the team, so it's actually Nadia's fault. And Nadia explained that they actually converted some of their profit with the sales. It was just the costings that was the issue. So yeah, the selling team needed to just basically sell more. Nadia explained that that they ended up going for the most expensive dish, and sausage and mash is a UK favourite. So she said the initial calculations were done by Anissa and changed by Trizola, and then she adjusted them at the end to, save as much money as possible, but also get as many sausages as possible as well. Kia basically said that they all raised a cheaper alternative by having the potato skins, which she obviously didn't listen to. And Max said that he had to end up putting his trust in the project manager, although he didn't necessarily agree with all or some of the decisions that she made. Again, in the kitchen, Anissa said that she also suggested vegetarian sausages because the costs would have been a lot cheaper. And Kira also said that the potatoes for the corporate client needed to be between 55 and 65 kilograms per potato, kind of questioning that Nadia had explained that wasn't the case, and she told him to basically ignore that. She then questioned, what planet are you on? And he basically said the price dropped from £4 to £3 because the quality of the potatoes were not right, and that was purely Nadia's fault for that. Jana said there's not really too much to gauge on other than kind of what everyone else had already spoken about. Nadia then decided to bring in both Keir and Jana to the boardroom, and Keir said that we cannot be the fault because we actually made a profit. In the end, Nadia basically explained to Lord Sugar that she only wanted to do bangers and mash. She overspent on the ingredients, and she has already taken accountability for this. Lord Sugar basically said, I know what I'm going to do. There's no other reason for the failure of the task other than you, and Nadia was fired. So I think although she was this, fiery, loud, just confident female, which I completely I applaud her for that, the fact that she was just not taking no for an answer and she was going with her gut and going with the sausage and mash thing. Loaded fries are probably easier and cheaper to make. There's less of it to go wrong, whereas with a sausage you need to make sure the sausage is cooked, you need to make sure the mash is cooked, you need to make sure the sauce is not too thick and not too thin, or whatever the agreements were for the meal. But yeah, having too many sides as extras and to upsell this and this, it just didn't really work. And the fact that she was going for the most expensive sausage as well, that's also going to make them have spent so much more. The other team only spent £180, they spent nearly £700, so you can see that straight away, just by what they spent, this team were not going to win. Lord Sugar then also said to Jana that he was going to be the project manager on the next task, because he has actually been very, very quiet up until this point, and he wants Jana to prove to him what he can do. And then Nadia basically said that Lord Sugar's missed out on a massive opportunity with her. It's been completely unfair. And going back to the house, Malika said that Nadia doesn't give up without a fight. And Keir basically said that for Lord Sugar, it probably was the easiest boardroom ever, because he knew that Keir and Jana were not in the wrong, and it was pretty much down to Nadia, all the different elements coming together of her not listening to the team, her going for the most expensive sausages and also changing the numbers in the kitchen, and then also blaming the selling team and changing the prices while you're selling, not letting the other team know. It just kind of was just all a bit mismatched. But yeah, like I said, I completely respect her as a female, and I respect her in terms of her, her confidence and her integrity to stick with her intentions. But just, yeah, in terms of the actual task and mismanagement of the task, yeah, again, she was the right person to go. So I think so far 4 out of 4 for Lord Sugar. He's kicked it on the head with both all of the firings so far. Didn't even need any discussion for this week's firing either. So yeah, that is the 4th episode. I do hope you have enjoyed the review this time. If you did, don't forget to like, comment, share and subscribe. And until my next review, thank you for watching and goodbye.